Good evening, welcome to the studio this evening, and we're going to do some more on this bird. So I just want to do an outline of its claws. So something like that, gripping onto onto a piece of wood. So we shall work with that. So let me start by outlining that claw first. Because then we'll carve around it. Okay, so I'll leave that bit of wood alone. I'll carve the branch down around it, and then we'll come back to the bird itself, or to its feet. Okay, I'm splitting this wood off here, which is not really what I want to do. I'm splitting it off basically because I'm cutting this wrongly in respect to the grain. I'm going to tolerate it for the minute because it's easier to carve like this, but I do have to be really careful. See, what I should be doing is carving it this way. The grain angle is wrong to carve it that way, even though that's the most convenient direction to do it in. So for those of you that's watching that hasn't seen me or haven't been watching me carve this before, this is an eagle owl. It's a bird that stands up, well, this particular bird stands about 3 feet tall. It has a wingspan of about 6 feet. It's an owl. And it's a really large looking bird, but it only weighs about 2 or 3 kilos, which is surprisingly light for the size of it. But of course they are very effective predators. With their beaks and talons. Now then, I have luckily just left enough space down there to get a chisel down. I'm just rough cutting it, so I'm not going to cut that space out there just yet. A, because it's quite hard with a flat chisel to do it, and B, this talon will get quite thin and is likely to break off if I don't support it in some way. Now, intellectually, the leg will be about a third of the. This leg will be about a third of the body width, and then the other leg, third from the other side. Well, this is the top surface, so we'll go about. This will go about a third of the way down, roughly. I'll basically do it till I think it looks right, but that's where I'll be starting. My starting position. As I will keep saying with these leaves of wood, always cut them off. Don't tear them off. Don't pull them off. If you do tear them off, you're likely to damage a piece that you don't want to damage. If you haven't seen me carve before, I am carving this towards myself, which may surprise some of you who are watching, because normally, let me just turn that music down a little bit. Normally, especially beginners, are taught never to carve towards themselves, and that's a safety thing because of the danger of hurting yourself with a sharp chisel. So you may be wondering why I'm doing it, and the main answer is because I'm not a beginner. But the second answer and I'll explain what the difference is in a minute, but the second reason is because I need to clamp this work down, and if I turn it round I'd be clamping it where I'm working, so I can't clamp it where I'm working, so I have to clamp it some other way, which is this way. But beginners are usually taught that you know, never carve, just the same as you never cut towards yourself when you're using sharp knives, and that really is a safety thing, and it's an easy thing for beginner carvers to remember, is just don't cut towards yourself, because as a beginner you're more likely to lose control of the chisel, and it will then sort of do things that you don't expect, including sort of hurting you. Well, as you gain experience, you learn how to control the chisel. You also learn certain practices. So things like, you learn when you're driving a chisel like this, which is a hand chisel, you don't use your arms to do it. You know, you don't grab a chisel and push with your arm. What you do is you do as I'm doing here. I drive it with my fingers, and in fact I'm driving it with just finger and thumb. One of my fingers and thumbs is holding it steady, the other one is actually driving it forward. And if you work out, or you try that yourself, you can only move so far, physically move so far, and you can only put so much pressure on it as well. Which is what contributes towards this being a safe practice. The other thing you might notice is I have my arms on the desk, which also means that I can't move the chisel very far, and I'm also keeping my hands well out of the way, all of which contribute to the safety element. Excuse me, feels like I've got something caught in my throat at the moment. Mm-hmm. As this is intended to be a branch, I'm also not too bothered at this point in it being smooth. I mean, a branch isn't particularly smooth, so I won't be fantastically bothered about creating a nice smooth surface like I might do on the bird's feathers. I do want it to be, reasonably sort of level. I need to understand what it is I'm trying to carve, but if it's got sort of bumps and lumps in it, well, it's a branch. So when I get down towards the correct depth that I'm after, then as I say, that sort of the rough texture won't be a problem in this particular case. All I do is go down to about half the depth of this piece of wood, and then I'll shape it roughly into sort of a branch, a rounded shape. Mm-hmm. Now, in the reference pictures I've got of this bird, he's actually sat on somebody's hand, on a glove. So I need to translate that. I don't want to put him on a glove in this particular carving, so I'm going to translate that into looking something like a branch. So I'm just trying to work out sort of how to do that, because this is where you start having to think in 3 dimensions. When you look at a 2-dimensional picture, you then have to think in 3 dimensions. So things like this talon, for example, is sort of the middle one, is going to come up out of the wood, whereas this goes around, and this one also will go around. So you've kind of got it stuck like that. So I've got to remember this bit here is the highest point, so I've got to carve down from there. I don't know if you can hear the crackling sound from the wood. There's sort of a fizzy or a crackling note, and what that is caused by the fact that I'm actually splitting the wood. I'm tearing it rather than cutting it. And splitting it is not something I want to do. Certainly not tearing it. Well, there's two reasons for tearing it. One is because of the grain direction on here. It's very close to being horizontal, which is I think to the challenge of carving, I would it's potentially a really nice direction to have the grain in that it goes up and down with the bird, but it is making it a little bit harder because it's splitting the wood so easily. But the other reason could well be because the chisel isn't as sharp as it should be. And when you're kind of using these, you tend to forget, because it goes blunt relatively slowly, a little bit at a time, you tend not to notice it until after you've sharpened it. And when you've sharpened it, you suddenly realise just how blunt it was. So I'm going to sharpen it now. So this is just a polishing compound that I'm applying. That should be enough to have sharpened that quite a bit, and it has. Now it's not splitting it as easily, I can still hear it doing it, but it is cutting more. And this chisel is quite a lot sharper than it was a minute ago. Ideally when you're carving, you always want to keep both hands on the chisel. Don't try and drive it one-handed, it's harder to control one-handed. Whereas with two hands you've got a lot better control. And indeed usually you'll see me with one hand on the handle and one hand on the blade. And one of the primary things about keeping fingers on the blade is that I'm stopping it popping up out of the wood and going somewhere unexpected. So just whilst I'm doing that, I'll just whilst I'm doing this, which is just cutting away waste wood, just so that I explain the photographs that you'll be seeing on the left hand side of the screen there. You'll see a lot of them are jewellery, but they are all photographs of items that should be made on stream. And you'll see pictures of 4 different crafts. You'll see mainly a lot of jewellery, because jewellery takes a lot less time to create than something like this, which will take, I don't know, anything up to about 30 hours to do, whereas a bracelet, for example, will take maybe an hour. And so when I'm doing jewellery on stream, and that's jewellery, most of the jewellery you see there is a technique called chainmail, which is the way in which rings are joined together, not armour. Is that I might spend 2 weeks doing jewellery, and in that time I will do sort of 1 or 2 pieces a night, and therefore I do more of them. The other thing about those jewellery items, by the way, is they are all available to be made to order, but you can actually purchase them at what I believe are reasonable prices in the store. So take a look at it says there on the bottom left, but it's zaragonart.etsy.com, and you'll see almost all of those jewellery items in the shop. So I'd kind of recommend that you check it out, but bear in mind it's my shop, so I would recommend that you check it out. But I do think they are nice. Now this was going to be a branch. I might turn it into a rock, but we'll see. Now you see there, I just split off some wood. Now it's not particularly a problem while I'm rough carving, but when I want to finish carve, splitting wood off is something that you really don't want to do. Some of the other crafts you'll see on the left hand side there, you'll see things like punchcraft, which is a woolly looking thing, which will be of a couple of trains. Punchcraft, it's a craft that's very similar actually to rug making, or the way rugs are made commercially, except it's done by hand. You'll also see scraper board, which is the black and white images, or the mainly black and white images, because I think one of them's got green grass on it, which is of a cottage, and that's made. That's a material that's made by covering a backing board in porcelain clay, and then covering that porcelain clay with Indian ink, and then once all of that's dry, it gets scraped off using sharp tools to create the image. Now you'll also see pyrography there. They're the brown looking images, which is pictures created using heat from an electrically heated tool on wood, which causes the wood to cook and turn colour. Fluffy Twiggler, good evening. How did your stream go? Yes, I am being careful. You know, I'm aware of the safety aspects of doing this, and why what looks dangerous is actually safe to do. Your camera was upside down, by the way, when you were streaming. It made it a little bit difficult to follow what you were trying to do. noticed focus, but I didn't actually stay long because I just noticed you as just before I went live. But it didn't particularly look out of focus. The awkward bit was the fact it was upside down. So how's things doing? I've not seen you around for a little while. Partly my fault, I guess. I guess you've also been busy at college. I don't know what it is about Twitch at the moment, but it seems decidedly quiet, does Twitch? Yeah, let's make a few people crazy and do this like this. I'm sure people watch me do this just to see what I might do wrong. Been working, yeah, and such. Yeah, uni work. So is it an exclusive exhibition to you, or is it just a university exhibition that you are participating in? I currently am waiting to see if I've got past a job interview. I'm hoping I don't get to know this week. Mainly because if I do get to know this week, it means I've failed. You know, I'm just trying to create some sort of structure here. Now that claw is going to curl around, so I could do with, oops, sorry about that, with making sure that this bit here is lower than that bit, so it's sort of grasping on top of the sort of a knot of wood or something. And for you as well. Exhibitions are, well, I would imagine they're scary things, especially public ones where, of course, people are going to come in and actually effectively start judging your work. And thank you. Yes, I will take all any and all expressions of hope. Mind, if I remember correctly, you've participated in at least one or two exhibitions already, so other than the hard work, it shouldn't be too scary, I hope. You get to live stream. Ah, okay. Eight-legged fence. Eight-legged fence. How are you when it... Spiders? Spiders? Ah, spiders. Assuming you mean spiders. Not too bad. I'm not too bad with spiders. I'm not greatly. It's not the sort of thing I'm going to be best friends with a spider, but they are sort of amazing creatures. The things I can't get on with specifically are wasps and bees. When I was young, I got stung inside my mouth by probably a wasp, I believe, and I've kind of now, put it bluntly, I'm terrified of the things. My adrenaline goes through the roof when I hear them. You hear the fight or flight response. Well, it's I definitely get all psyched up. Now this blade has got a little bit blunt. I can feel it, so we will sharpen it up again in a moment. Okay, yeah, I've never been particularly bothered about having a tarantula on me or anything like that. I probably would be less bothered by them because they're slightly bigger than the little. Because I know they can shift. It tends to be when they run really quickly, and it's what I guess makes most people sort of jump when they start running about really quickly. But I quite like looking at them, if you see what I mean. In a cage, they're okay. Wouldn't necessarily want to handle one of them. And I know that whilst they're poisonous, they're not especially dangerous, which of course not many people do now. But tarantulas, yeah, no, I'd probably rather have a goldfish. Actually, I'd rather have a snake. If it was sort of one of the popular animals to hate, if you like. If I was going to have one, I'd have a snake. Snakes do not bother me at all. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want a poisonous one, but I was just thinking, then I wouldn't eat. I mean, obviously, I would if I was going to get one, but I was just thinking, I wouldn't even know how to take care of a tarantula. It's kind of like, what do they eat? I mean, I know they're carnivores, but I mean, they're fairly large animals, relatively speaking. They're not going to be eating tiny flies. So what do? Feed them a steak or something? At this point here, I'm just carving a shape that I just feel like I like. I was just thinking then, I guess, rather than how do I like tarantulas, it's probably more of a case of how do you like tarantulas, because if she comes to visit you, she's going to bring it with her. So, how do you feel about having a giant spider in your room? Okay. It's only going to be a relatively small baby, so only about sort of 4 inches across then or something. Yeah. I guess well, I suppose you can buy the food, can't you? And I'm guessing they prefer live food, so otherwise you'd have to breed your own crickets. Oh, I don't know. Maybe if she ever broadcasts again, I'll have to go on stream and suggest it. I literally don't know how I'd react to having to hold one. I really don't know. Snakes, I know, don't bother me. I know they're quite pleasant. I would say they're quite pleasant to hold. I know a lot of people think snakes are slimy and cold and what have you, and they're not. Well, you know they're not. But I don't know. Don't know about live spiders. Mind you get a snake and a tarantula. Wonder which one would come out on top, so to speak. Because I could see spiders being a food for some of the snakes. Now that I'm going to want to be deeper down because that talon's really curled over, so I think if somebody threatened to make me hold a big spider like that and I was kind of not wanting to, I'd be kind of going, Yes, no problem. Just don't blame me if I jump on it by accident. Which of course isn't really a nice thing to say in a way, because they're somebody's pet, and you know, it's like saying you're going to jump on somebody's dog. It's not a very nice thing to say. I was thinking then, I wonder just how, with both of you being sort of artists, so to speak, that sort of animal is kind of makes, I can imagine making some really interesting subject for some art projects. Because you've got sort of the natural history aspect of it being, but you can also go for things like science fiction, because that's sort of eight-legged robots and things like that seem to be quite popular in science fiction and all that sort of stuff. Do boas eat them? I kind of don't think of boas as being fast-moving animals, as opposed to sort of the semi-poisonous or the littler snakes, which are kill by strike as opposed to kill by constriction. And but yeah, always wanted one. Well, yeah. It will be interesting to see whether the reality of having one lives up to the expectation. I used to have goldfish at one point, a long time ago, just a couple or so in a fairly large tank, and I kind of expected not to spend a lot of time looking at them, but I found it really fascinating watching goldfish. And whenever I go into sort of one of the local pet shops, they have sort of both cold and warm water fish. I spend a lot of time looking at them. I don't particularly want one, but I do spend a lot of time looking at them, and I do find them fascinating animals. I once did had an open water diving lesson experience. Not quite sure how you describe it, and when I was on holiday, so not in UK waters, shall we say, but in clearer waters. And one of the things that really sort of almost blew my mind in a way is when you're in the water, you don't see it, and you get a fish that'll swim in front of you, and it kind of looks like it's just hanging in mid-air. It's like one just swimming past you now in front of you, and it kind of blows your mind because it's just hanging there and it's not falling. Kind of weird. She wanted a scorpion. Okay, so she's somebody who likes poisonous animals. Oh, right. Spider, scorpion and a crab. It's kind of interesting because I think in a couple of games I've seen things that I'd describe as whiptail scorpions, and you kind of I guess they've taken them from real life then. You're so strange. Something from a horror film. Yeah, maybe. Oh, okay. What is it? I vaguely remember seeing something in Harry Potter, and I'm trying to think when it was, or which bit it was. But yeah, it's I'm gonna say nature is immensely sort of strange in the animals, and you get things like horror films and games and things like that where they use these really weird looking creatures, and you sort of imagine that they've made them up and they're actually real life animals, and okay, they may have changed the colour or something in a game or something, but tweak them a little bit, but essentially they're real life things, and kind of fascinating. Nature is scary. Yeah, nature is definitely scary. Now, I'm not trying to be smooth here. I'm actually trying to create something sort of rock-like texture. Let's carve a little bit more of this away here. I said carve, not push. Thank you. I have to be careful not to use too much force here, because I don't want to drive the chisel right through the wood. At this stage wouldn't matter, a little bit lower it will, but that talon probably means I want to get rid of some of this wood here as well. I'm now trying to sort of visualise how this thing will clasp around something. Okay. I'm getting decidedly nervous about cutting this. Well, that's going to have to be done at some point, so if I'm going to ruin it, I might as well ruin it now rather than later. And since I have no idea what I'm doing, I will take this fairly slowly. I also found some of those tuits, Fluffy Twiglet. One of the tuits I found was a round one, so I managed to get a round tuit to do myself a new bracelet, by the way. This one. Which I completed a couple of days ago. It was kind of a good luck charm for the job interview. And also to give me something to talk about in the interview as well. It worked quite successfully as well, because I then spent about 10 minutes, well no, a few minutes, I wouldn't actually know how long, asking me about the broadcasting. Now then, this being a claw, I should in theory undercut it. I'm not going to. No, no rabbit's foot. A rabbit's foot is not good luck. It can't be. The rabbit's missing a foot. What's good luck about that? I mean, I would have thought that's particularly bad luck. Ah, true. If you, yeah, an artificial one. Yeah, okay. Yep, they're acceptable. I can see them. Actually, that's 2 levels as well. Because it's got 4 claws. Yeah. Oh! Yeah, okay, you win on that one. You win on that one, Fluffy Twiglet. It's like the old joke where a townie goes up to a farmer who's stood by the field and asks why that sheep over there's only got 3 legs, and the farmer goes, well, that sheep saved my life, and you know, it dragged me out of a sort of a deep pond, and you know, without that sheep I'd be dead. And the townie goes, yeah, but why's it only got 3 legs? And the farmer goes, well, with something that good, you don't want to eat it all at once. Yeah, I know what you mean. You shouldn't laugh, but you do. The weirdest of things sometimes makes me literally roll about on the floor. Don't do it very often, but there was somebody. This is probably must be about 10 or 15 years ago now, but I keep remembering the incident. Somebody was trying to describe. They had a VW car, and they were trying to describe kind of how it looked when the suspension on the front of the car collapsed and broke. And yeah, I think about this afterwards and their description, and I kind of go, I don't actually see why I found it funny, but at the time I was literally, and this was in public as well, I was literally rolling on the floor. Actually physically rolling on the floor with laughter, completely breathless, to the point where I was sort of choking because I couldn't stop laughing, and completely out of breath and everything else. And all they described it as was kind of imagine a guinea pig running down the road at 60 miles an hour, and you suddenly remove its front legs, and just that image of a guinea pig bouncing, with its chin, and I was completely cracked up on the floor. And yet I'm not laughing now, and it's not funny, but at the time it was another one of those sheep type things, and horrible image in a way, but I was completely helpless. Yeah, only sometimes. And quite why the sudden thought came to me, I've got 2 cream cakes in the fridge, I don't quite know. But I'll be having those after the stream is finished. It'll be a little bit of a shorter stream tonight as well, by the way, because I've got some work I need to... Some other stuff, not work, but some stuff I do need to get done tonight. that's got that cleaned down, I think. Cream cakes, yeah. Well, cream... What are they? Long things, full of cream, chocolate on top. Can't remember. It's not exactly cream cakes as such, but... mind you, actually, I do have some chocolate cake left as well. Right, so I need to carve this down here. So I have no idea what this is going to come out looking like because I'm making these up as I go along. Bother, I shouldn't have cut all that down. That was a mistake cutting that out. Actually, it probably was on there as well because that's claw kind of wanted to grab onto something. Alright, well, we'll see if we can do something about that and fix my mistake. You always got to keep thinking in 3 dimensions when you're doing this sort of stuff. So easy to get something off like that. And this is kind of an unusual carving position. It's more like I'm holding this blade more like I'd hold a knife, but it allows me really quite accurate positioning. Because my thumb is acting like a height guide. Okay, maybe it won't be too bad. Sorry, I've kind of gone quiet. I'm kind of concentrating on trying to work out exactly how to go about doing what I'm doing to get the sort of shapes I'm after. I'm having to think in 3 dimensions but think upside down at the same time. Okay, that's probably about deep enough there, or at least for the moment, because it's got, because of the feathers around its lower leg, it kind of looks like it's wearing trousers. I'm totally cutting this wood the wrong way. I keep looking up now, and the last I keep looking at the chat window, and of course the last thing in the chat window is cream cakes, and it keeps making me think of cream cakes, and I've got the fact that I've got cream cakes downstairs in the fridge. Come around there. That's that one that's coming forward. Yeah. Okay, this one might. This is its fourth claw, and I might actually make this one vanish. Because I think I've kind of carved that slightly out. Oh, I see. Okay. let's bring out a round gouge. Literally just doing that because it has a rounded edge on it. Just so I established a round edge around there. I'm trying to see that upside down. It's quite difficult. What I'm going to do is, because I'm actually about to finish, I mentioned I was going to finish early, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unclamp this and I'm going to have a look at it the right way up. Have a look. Actually, that's not as bad as I was thinking it was looking. Yeah, I've got to. It's getting that shape right around there. The leg actually comes that way, so I've got to curve around a little bit. I've cut that a little bit too sharp, which means this looks to be in actually the wrong position. So that's probably not too bad at this stage though, because there is enough wood in there to deal with that. I may have to get rid of some of this wood as well, so that this claw, when I carve it, actually looks like it's grasping onto something. And I may lose that's the fourth claw, that one there, and I may actually lose that altogether. We'll see about that. Not bad though, not bad. To say it's the first attempt, I don't think it's too bad. So it kind of looks like that. So we're starting to shape the claw, or the talons, to be more dramatic about it. And then we'll go back to shaping the body further for the owl, but I kind of wanted to get this this shape established as well. Anyway, I think that will do for tonight. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody that's watching, and if you are watching, I recommend you check out the shop, zaraganat.etsy.com, as it says in the bottom left there. That helps the stream. It allows me to buy material like wood and rings for the jewellery and other crafts and things. and without that you might be stuck with seeing a lot of pyrography, for example, because I've got a lot of practice wood for that. So if you don't want to see a lot of pyrography, check out the shop, and if there's anything you like, buy it. But no, to be serious, it does help. It does help the stream, but it's not mandatory to buy anything by any means. I think they're worth it, but take that, knowing that it's my shop, and I would be silly to say it's not worth buying, would it? Not that I'd put anything in there that I didn't think was worth buying anyway, so you know, but you never know. It's one of those things. Anyway, I'm going to say thank you. I've got some other work to do, so I am finishing early this evening, and as it stands at the moment, I am expecting to be back on tomorrow night. I know my schedule is a little bit erratic at the moment, I'm afraid, with work and with the fact that I am trying to get another job. It does impact on life quite a bit, and sometimes with a long day at work you just don't feel like streaming, but I will try and be on tomorrow night. If I'm not going to be, I will do my best to let you know through Twitter. So if you'd like those notifications, at Zaraganart, as it says in the bottom left. A tweet does go out when I go live as well, and also, of course, Twitch should let you know if you let it when I go live. So feel free to follow me on either of those two media for notification of when I go live next. Sorry, I'm just already tidying up, you see. It takes, it's not so bad tonight, it's only a small pile, but quite often it takes a good 10 minutes or so to find all the wood chips that are all over my desk now, and tidy them up. Thank you everybody. I'm now going to get some cream cakes and use some of those tuits, the round ones that I found, to actually get some wood done. So thank you, he says, wondering where his cursor's gone. There it is. Thank you for watching. Hope I'll see you tomorrow. If you want to just try and catch me, I should be on from around 2000 hours UTC GMT. That's 8 PM UK time, or about an hour and a half ago, in whatever time zone you're in. So thank you. Hope to see you again in the studio in the future. So bye from West Yorkshire. Bye bye.